All right, good morning, guys. You guys should just finish up your do now question for the day. Briefly explain how the United States creates its national budget every year. So this is something that we covered in a previous lesson. We discussed how, okay, at every level, the cities, state, at the federal level, they all come up with essentially a list of needs, okay, things that they want to spend money on from the budget. And all these requests get sent up eventually to the executive branch, to which the president and his cabinet they try to make some decisions on, okay, we should give this much money here, this much money here, and so on and so forth. Then eventually gets sent to the legislative branch for voting and deliberation, then eventually back up to the executive branch for approval or veto. And then there we discussed a few due dates here and there. We talked about September 15th, May 15th, and so on and so forth. So you only need a couple sentences, so you don't have to get into too much detail, but just kind of general overview. Okay, here's kind of what we discussed on it. So whatever you guys have, make sure it's about 45 sentences. Make sure you get it written down. So today, it's going to be a little bit different. Set of notes. We're going to take a break from that from one lesson. And so just kind of follow along, kind of go over this. So every year I like to do this, kind of integrates into the econ lesson, but at the same time, it gives you guys a chance to kind of give me some feedback on, how we're running things in the class, how we're conducting things, and so on and so forth. So kind of bridging the two ideas, came up with this assignment. So first thing you guys are going to do is come up with 5 classroom rules for next semester. So what I mean by this is, 5 things that you think I should do or rules I should implement in the classroom that you think would help things out. Whether it be with, something that maybe see wrong or something that could be done better. So I'm trying to keep it kind of broad for you guys, but at the same time, at a minimum, addressing these 3 points. Student preparedness, meaning, okay, what do you guys come to class with, how you guys essentially get ready for the day. Assessment, so at the end of the day, there has to be some kind of assessment, whether it be a quiz, whether it be verbal assessment, some way for me to tell that, hey, you understand what we've talked about and you've learned it. And also disciplinary procedures. So if for whatever reason somebody's acting a fool or doing something they're not supposed to be doing, how should we address that? You've seen ways that I've done it in the past, but hey, if you think it can be done better, here's your chance to give me some feedback. So once you come up with that list of 5, step number 2, find someone to share these with and ask them to try to find possible flaws in your reasoning. So it doesn't matter who it is, whether it be somebody at home, whether it be a friend, text them, whatever. You're just sharing your list of 5, and their goal is to try to poke holes, essentially, in your argument and reasoning. So if you say, hey, I think we should have a rule against this and we should do this about it. So their goal is like, well, that wouldn't really work because of X, Y, and Z. And so just kind of giving you some feedback on that and trying to give you some ideas. And finally, once you've done that, step number 3, if you've made any amendments to your 5 rules, so rewriting them and explaining any kind of changes that you made and why. But for whatever reason, if they were airtight, they couldn't find the holes in your logic or reasoning, explain why you think that is. Why do you think they were that good or they could not come up with any issues with your new rules? So once again, come up with 5 classroom rules at a minimum covering these 3 categories: student preparedness, assessment, disciplinary procedures, finding somebody to share with and kind of giving you some feedback on it, and then rewriting the 5 and addressing any kind of changes you made and tell me why. So I don't really have a sentence requirement for these, just make sure it's laid out, make sure it's readable, and make sure it's, it's understandable. So when I grade it, there's no question of, okay, they covered this point, covered this point, covered this point. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, write a comment in the section below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If not, I'll see you guys next time.